Slow down the footage. See if you can tell what the fuck I said. Spoiler alert. I did not say anything. Guys, welcome back to the playthrough. Today it's a chrono day. As it always has been. As it always will be. You know, greatest RPG of all time, so. We're calling back to it until it ain't relevant no more. Okay? And during the Dragon Quest playthrough, we're doing our sovereigns. Last time we started up Quest 806. And today we're going to be completing that one, maybe another one as well. But over here on the sovereign playlist, you know what it is. The screen is just but a mere illusion. A mere distraction for the true content. We're yapping. We're yapping and crapping and slapping. And a little bit of acting. Because today I have a fun topic for you guys about one of the two main emotions that are counteracting each other at all times, right? So if you read the title, it's fear, it's love, and today we're going to talk about how they cannot be in the same room with each other and be comfortable and be fine and be noticeable and chill. These motherfuckers can't be roommates. They can't do it. They can't do it. And that's funny because, of course, during this playthrough, I have mentioned multiple times, that I am fearful. I'm fearful of not what I'm doing now. Not the love that I'm giving now. I'm not fearful of that. I'm fearful of the results of what will happen, what will come to fruition because of my power, my energy that I put out into the world. Just because I've seen what it does to people who are in similar situations with similar skill sets, with similar aesthetics, people who use similar materials. And so that fear, it drives me to do things more carefully, more calculated, to move more cautiously. But at the same time, when I hop on the mic, man, when we're talking like this right here, when I actually get into it, when I'm actually playing the game, it has to be all love. It has to transmute into love, okay? And the fear honestly just comes from the attraction. I notice it, you probably notice it, everybody notices it. I have an attractive personality, on top of an attractive physical anchor. We'll say that. We'll say that. I don't like to outwardly just flop my. Okay, we're not gonna get into that analogy. But I'm a very secretive and very silent person. But because of that, when you don't want the attention, when you're no longer seeking the validation, it will come to you. Okay. And yeah, the fear just comes from the things that I see people do to attractive people. And a lot of people say, oh man, things would be so much greater if I was Chad, if I wasn't so bald and ugly, if my teeth weren't fucked up. But let me give you this analogy. So let's say you have a magnet. You got this cool magnet. It's really awesome. But then you take the magnet and you go over to a windowsill that's really dusty and you just rub the magnet all over the fucking windowsill and it gets all the dust and mites and bullshit on there. And you gotta take it away from the windowsill and take it back to its home and clean the magnet off from all the bullshit that surrounded it in order to get it to a good place. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. When we are so attractive, your job is not to, connect to a bunch of people. When you're attractive, your job is to, be an asshole. Slap a bunch of them down. And I never felt comfortable with that, personally. I think everybody kind of deserves a little bit of my love. But then, that's the thing, man. When you start giving love to everybody indiscriminately, then motherfuckers think they're entitled to it. The most slimy, disgusting, greedy person will think they're entitled to it because you gave it to everybody else indiscriminately. And it's like, yes, I forgive you for yourself, for your actions, for whatever you decided to do to me, for whatever exploit you decided to use. Of course, it's a speed run, it's a game. We're all gonna do seedy things to try and win it in the best way possible. But at the same time, I can't be around you. And that's what I needed to realize. I was the guy Still kind of am the guy, but now I just started to say no more. But I was the guy that never really asked people to hang out. I never really asked people to go do things with me or go have a time with me. But every time somebody would ask, "Hey man, you want to go do this?" I would be like, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." Because deep down I realized I didn't really care. I didn't really need all these people, but people did still want me. So I'm like, I gotta grind this skill while I'm still able to, while um I don't have the experience of people. I need to learn the skill because it's not like I was always there with this wonderful gift of the gab or attraction. Of course, maybe the physical was there automatically, but you got to learn how to connect with people. You have to learn how to navigate social spaces and the national surveillance and be comfortable mm, interacting with your own brand of peace and bringing that peace to other people, alchemizing other people's chaos into something a little bit more digestible. And that is a skill that definitely takes time to learn. But once you learn this skill, once you've gone to enough people, it started to become where I'm like, man, I don't have a job. I don't have a stable source of income. I don't have anybody taking care of me. But at the same time, I'm out of the house every day, running around doing something for someone else at all times, at all moments. And I'm like, why though? Why though? It's not like I hate these people, but I don't see them here with me in 10 years. So what am I doing? What am I doing? And that's what we have to figure out, man. When you're that magnet, you gotta wipe the dust off, wipe the bullshit off, wipe that crusty shit off, man. Because if you don't, people will just expect you to, have all the dust on you. They'll expect you to carry it all, and that leads to a crash out, my friend. That leads to a crash out. That leads to a crash out. And of course, this all comes back to the fear. I feel like the reason why a lot of us drown in those situations, the super period of love that everybody's coming at you and like, I love you, I love. It's really not love. It's the fear of losing them. And like I said, 10 years down the line, I really thought about it. I'm like, I don't see myself with these same people. I really don't. I don't want to be. I look over, the course of change over a short 6 months, and I'm like, it's not good enough for me. And I don't know how to tell that to someone that, you're just not making progress as fast as I am. And the truth is, you're not supposed to say that to someone. You're just supposed to leave. You're just supposed to move on. It's like the one guy who's texting his ex or sending messages to his ex or sending care packages to his ex's house every day, and he knows she's getting them. He's like, what do I do? How should I proceed? What should I do next? I'm like, you don't. You don't. It's the same for me, man. I saw I was doing a little bit more. I was putting in a little bit more effort. It's not like they were worse than me the whole time. This is some situations where, we started out and they were better than me, and then I got up to their level, and then I rose above their level, and then you're still here. It's like, what are we doing here? You see what I'm doing. That's why you're still here. That's why you're still grasping at straws. But you can't really take that. And that's all I've really been destined to do in this life, I feel like. With most things, I just take it and I just build it. I'm that kind of guy. I'm that kind of toxic masculine entity that can't stand when things don't progress, can't stand when things are broken, can't stand when people have lost hope. Because that's all you need. You need hope, and peace, and to walk. And that's it, man. Build a whole empire. Build a whole empire with that shit. But if you got that foundation of peace, if you've got hope and vision for a future that you think you can build, and if you're dedicated to walking, that's it. That's all you really need. But you can't do that constantly drowning in fear. The fear will be there. I'm not saying you can't be scared of this life or this destiny that the world has for you. But when you take those steps, you got to take them with love. Of course, while we're in rest mode, while we're in recovery mode, I think it's fair to be fearful. I think so. I think so. And that's where my fear comes from. It's from the lack of action. But, you know, we're not crazy fucking robots. Like, as much as I wish I was. And I feel like if I really was a robot, I'd probably still love working retail jobs. Because honestly, I still do. The reason why I stopped, though, is because people started treating me like a robot. Because I acted like a robot. Because I didn't demand respect. Because I didn't want respect. I wanted isolation. I wanted to do my job and fucking leave. And that doesn't require respect from anyone, truth be told. And it lends itself to being looked over, is what it does. Which I thought was what I wanted, but at the same time, I think not being directly looked at was just a part of it. It's really like a mutual respect thing. I don't think I really want to be ignored. I think I just don't want to be inspected, you know? Just let me be. Just let a brother alone. Just like a lot of guys, and I feel like this is why we're running away from the left. A lot of us here. You know, as good-natured and wonderful as we are, we don't like to be told what to do. We already know. We already know. And this is what I tell you guys all the damn time. I hate guides. I hate all these self-help philosophers and bullshit. Because truth be told, we all know what the fuck to do. We all know exactly what the fuck to do at all times. It's not a secret. But what is a secret is the fact that everyone around you is blinding you to listen to yourself to find out. That's what the secret is. That's what the real secret is. If you slow things down, if you pause before your messages, if you chill before your tweets, if somebody sends you a text message that is time sensitive, that angers you, and you think of a response, and then you put it in your notes app, and you take a pause until you are no longer angry, and then you go back to the notes app. You may edit that a little bit. You may just want to send it, but the pause will help your psyche. It has nothing to do with them. I don't care if it's time sensitive. I don't care if they need to get in the next 5 minutes. I don't give a shit. We have to work on our triggers. And that's the main thing. That's the main thing why I say fear and love don't belong together, because they are two vastly different triggers. And if you start equating these triggers with the same thing, you're going to start craving chaotic love. We don't want that. We don't want to crave that. We don't want to crave that. You want to crave a love that comes from the whole, not a love that comes from the lack. And that's what the fear love comes from. So that's why I constantly say, although I am fearful of you guys, I'm scared that you're gonna leave. I'm scared that you're gonna come even faster. That was kind of nasty. Not like that. Not like that. Oh my god. But when I come in here and when I speak to you, I'm not gonna speak with that fear. I'm gonna speak with the love side of me. I'm gonna leave the fear at the door because you don't deserve it. That hope is what you need, okay? And I'm not going to say fear is like a useless emotion that we should never interact with, but like most tools, like most emotions can be used as tools, we have to know how to harness it. We have to know how to alchemize it. Just like anger, you know, frustration, agitation, you can alchemize that. Fear, you can definitely turn that into sadness, to stoicness, and then you can lock in. But, there aren't too many ways to integrate those two emotions at once without coming from a deficit. And we don't need deficits. Man, the world is already in debt. In a huge amount of debt, okay? These are just the facts of life. Oh. I suppose I should get back to the gameplay a little bit here. We are in our first dungeon. This is the Hidden Palace Ruins. We have a couple of dungeons to go through here. And they're all basically reincarnations of the Magic Maze, because this is essentially our first party battle that was introduced in the game. So the Magic Maze is also one of the first side missions introduced where you get all your accessories. And this is the quest that have the origins of it, essentially. You can go through these mazes at any time if you hop into the Magic Maze area. So it's a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing that they've integrated these quests give it a little quest line. And these are all related to our sovereign brothers. I'm gonna reset the game right now, so we'll restart the dungeon once more because it was glitching out. As you see here, the world flashes when my game is about to crash. So that's how I know when to close it down. I've been getting better at actually turning the game off too. I know I said, man, this is probably forever ago when I was talking about this, when I was yapping about this, but the game still crashes every, like, I want to say it's every like 2 hours or so I have it up. So about like hour 30 minutes in, I have to turn it off to just reset the recording tools and the translation tools. But I've been getting a little better at like timing it. Of course, we didn't time it that well that time because you know, I'm a little dumb. Went into the dungeon without realizing. But yeah, I'd rather just reset the whole thing rather than get to the boss and then, you know, have to reset the whole thing. Because it usually crashes when I get into intense battling situations. That's usually when. Or during loading screens, right? So we will have a little bit more time with this dungeon. And the dungeons are pretty simple. In these magic maze sections, you actually do have to kill all of the enemies before you continue. So that's why I am running around the whole maze trying to kill everything. So just take note of that. And yeah, magic maze is usually just used for bosses, but there are certain items that you can use. And if you don't use items at all, you will run through one of these dungeons where you have to fight everything. It's honestly pretty fun. I imagine back in the day, you know, 2012 when this game came out, these were probably pretty fun dungeons to run with your friends. I just think the gameplay of this game is very, very, very good. It's very, very enjoyable, personally. But anyways, that's my general take on fear and love. It's a true tragedy that I think a lot of people fall into. It's kind of like similar to the EBT crisis that we have, and I'll explain that as well. As you guys know, I love analogies. I'm a huge fan of analogies. So this is one I just thought up, right? EBT crisis in America basically is a struggle because it kind of incentivizes you to be poor or low income because there's a threshold. You know, once you break that threshold, you lose benefits, right? Instead of it slowly trickling off when you get, you know, maybe above a certain amount, and then, you know, this just goes up with how much you earn. No, it's a threshold. So as soon as you hit that thresh, it's not going to benefit you unless you have a huge jump in income. And this is exactly how it feels to be in a chaotic relationship. Because when you leave that relationship, unless you are monkey branching to someone who is a lot more emotionally stable, which honestly is a trap, because when you are in this emotional state with this person, you're not going to meet anyone like that. And if you do, they're going to run away from you as fast as possible. So you're not on their spiritual and emotional wavelength. So it's a huge trap, and you're not going to be able to monkey branch safely. But if you don't, you're going to be at a love deficit, a huge love deficit, because the love that, you know, the government or this other person is providing you, it's not preparing you to get out and face the world like real love should, like real support should. Instead, it's fear combined with love, and that is exactly what EBT is. EBT is not security. EBT is fear and slavery disguised as security, disguised as love. And these things do not belong together. They don't. Fear and love, they can't sit in the same room. They can't come from the same thing, okay? It just doesn't work. Then you get systems like this. And of course, you know, it can keep you trapped. It can keep you blinded. You know, it can lock you in. But eventually, you know, you hold the beach ball underwater for long enough, and then, you know, it suddenly slips out. That motherfucker's gonna pop. That motherfucker going jump, 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 jump. See what I'm saying? Oh, let me turn my heater off. Heater! Heater! Turn that off. Yeah, it's pretty cold, relatively cold. It is still a sunshine state, but relatively cold over here. Um, but yeah, I think that analogy kind of puts a little bow on it. Honestly, it's like, oh, bow, oh, we're Bono. Yeah, I'm grinding. I'm grinding the Deathmaster class right now. Oh, there's my alarm. Oh, goodness gracious, it is 6 a.m. Okay. Yeah, I'm grinding my Deathmaster right now, and we just got a bow, so I guess we're Bono now. We're Bono. Pro Bono. Oh, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. But I think it really wraps a little bow on it, you know? Wraps a little bow on it. Makes sense to me, at least, because you know the welfare and the state like that, it's not really meant to help you. A lot of people would inherently call it stealing, but the only stealing part of it is that we don't get to see where our money goes. That's the only stealing part of it. People would not be mad at welfare at all if you just, you're a taxpayer. I'm going to decide where my money goes. Okay, so I don't like all the poor people, so I'm put all my money to the schools. Whatever, fine. Some person over here is like, oh man, I saw that like old lady on her stabs and she was so nice, so I'm gonna put it all in the SNAP benefits. Boom, we're done. That's why people think it's stealing. That's the only reason why. It's the only reason why, in my opinion. In my opinion. Also, I think the threshold thing would be very, very, very helpful. You know, just having a threshold, it incentivizes people to, not work or go for lofty positions that they're not qualified for. And of course, now that we have destroyed gatekeeping, sometimes they actually get those jobs. And then we get the gaming industry, where everybody in there fucking sucks. Everybody in there's trash. Everybody in there's garbage human beings who don't know how to fucking make games. And believe me, guys, I've made video games before. I still think I don't know how to make games. And there are executives, middle management, who know less about game making, who know less about code than me, who made one stupid fan game in middle school. It is very sad. It is very terrible. So although I don't like to hear about a bunch of people losing their jobs, what I do like to hear about is that gatekeeping is back in style. Because it was never there to hurt the people outside of the gate. It was there to help them. And help the people inside of the gate. But not even really. It is not even really a huge benefit to the people inside of the gate, honestly. Because for the people inside of the industry, who wouldn't want some lowly peon who has no idea what's going on to come in there and be controlled by us? Who wouldn't want that? I know a lot of you guys have had retail jobs, maybe some fast food jobs, maybe some restaurant jobs, maybe some waiter gigs. We all know when the new guy comes in, we all abuse the new guy. We all make the new guy mop the floors. We all make the new guy do all the bullshit jobs that we don't want to do. We all make fun of the new guy. There's always a hazing process, okay? It always fucking happens. Every goddamn time. And if it doesn't happen right, then they usually leave. New guy's usually gone. You know? I've seen it every time. So gatekeeping really isn't to help the people inside the gate. It's there to help you. You don't need to be in there, okay? If you get gate kept, then that just means, great, now I know where I don't need to go. That's a little bit of a compass for your ass, right there. It's just like when people get so sad about rejections, like, oh my god, I talked to this girl and she said no, and no, man. That's an arrow pointing you right to yourself. You know, or not what can I improve, but, what attributes do I not feel comfortable with about myself? And that's usually what your mind goes to when you feel that rejection. And so I'm not sad at that part either, rejection from males, females, whatever, it's not bad. I actually, crazily enough, when in my actor days, I loved going to auditions, okay? I loved it. I loved it, I loved it, loved it. And we'll go back to the video topic here as we're ending. I had a lot of fear. I had a lot of fear going into my auditions, especially in waiting rooms. And then I realized If I want a good audition, I have to drop it here and start giving love. So you know what I did? In most of my waiting rooms, I struck up a conversation with the people around me. I said, "Hey, what's everybody here for? You guys look cool. You already reading there? Oh, that's awesome. You know, blah blah blah. You know, I gave hope to people. I let them know that life is just not here to beat you down and berate you and call you a slob or a mess. You know, the world can be a place that just slaps you on the back of your head and says, bitch, sit the fuck down. Oh, I need to go outside. Um, but you don't have to live in the fear that that will always happen, okay? What we honestly should do, and I'm not forcing you to do this because it's hard, what we honestly should do is choose love anyway, because you're stronger than that, because you're greater than that, because you're here to rise above what the world is there to offer you. But, like I said, way easier said than done. And also, this was way back in the day. Man, I don't want to say this is completely true because I haven't been to an audition in a long time. But I think in today's low trust society, in a post COVID world, because like the little story I talked about was pre COVID. I have not been to an audition since COVID, and I can honestly say I don't think I get the same reaction that I got from those waiting rooms. It is not like I got a super awesome reaction every time at a waiting room. You know, sometimes I made friends in those auditions. Sometimes people were just, you know, as standoffish as you would sound, or as you would think, you know, and I'm not gonna describe the horrible times, I'm not gonna describe the good times. It's mostly because I don't want to dox people, because I like to do onto those as they would like to be done to me, the golden rule type shit. And I just don't like people talking about me, you know, through random stories or non-random stories or whatever. You know, I just don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. Never been. So you can understand why my fear is something that's always going to stay with me. But I hope you felt that although there are those undertones, you know, I hope you feel it every time that the love is here for you. The fear is there for me, okay? I'm not here to push this onto you. Now, of course, if the awareness about how shitty the world is brings you fear, I can't help that. I understand, man. I understand. That's my camp too. But I can give you this advice. If you happen to be drowning in the fears of today's modern technology, the dystopian nature of our future, have a vision, have a drive, and just walk towards it. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Remember to give love authentically. And I suppose I'll see you next time. Next time we solve the Sovereign. We'll do another one of these quests. We might do a little bit more story. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But enjoy your day, whatever day I upload this on, and I will see you next time!